In the first year of caring for a succulent, most growers will watch their plant decline for 1 to 3 weeks before they take action. This gap isn't a lack of concern, it's a lack of diagnostic knowledge. You see your plant is struggling, but you don't yet have the biological vocabulary to identify why. When you see a leaf shrivel or a stem soften, it is tempting to reach for a generic fix, adding more water or moving it to a new pot. But guessing with these Pinterest tips often ignores the specific physical symptoms your plant is presenting right in front of you. To understand exactly what your plant needs, we use a strict top-to-bottom sequence. We always start with the leaves. As the primary diagnostic surface, the leaves reveal your plant's water status through their firmness and its light history through its color. Next, we move to the stem base. This is the early warning structure for internal rot. Finally, we assess the soil and environment, the contextual diagnostics that explain why the leaves and stem have changed. Approaching your plant in this specific order ensures you are reading the physical evidence before you intervene, replacing generic advice with an assessment of your plant's actual biology. Water issues are the primary cause of plant death, but most beginners assume all soft leaves simply mean your plant is thirsty. To know for sure, you have to understand how your plant holds its moisture. A healthy succulent stores water in its parenchyma tissue, cells that expand like internal sponges. When overwatered, these sponges absorb more than their walls can handle. They rupture from internal pressure, causing that mushy, translucent look, the result of cell death. This leaf damage is actually a secondary symptom triggered below the soil by root hypoxia, oxygen starvation in the root tissue. Your plant's roots are essentially drowning in water, but suffocating for air at the same time. This damp, oxygen-free environment awakens Pythium and Fusarium, fungal pathogens that thrive in wet soil. They produce motile spores that actively swim through water films to reach and consume the vulnerable root tissue. As these pathogens destroy the roots, the rot travels upward. Your plant will often drop its lower leaves rapidly in a desperate biological attempt to withdraw from the spreading decay. Your takeaway is to gently press your plant's lower leaves. If they feel mushy rather than wrinkled, stop watering immediately and press the stem base at the soil level. If the stem feels soft, the rot has already reached the crown. While water issues happen in the dark beneath the soil, light problems leave a permanent physical record written directly into the scaffolding of your plant. When your plant doesn't get enough light, it triggers an auxin hormone response. This chemical signaling system acts like a biological foreman, ordering the plant to stretch its structure toward the nearest light source as fast as possible. This is etiolation. The plant lengthens its internodal sections, the segments between leaves, stretching them like an accordion pulled apart. This change is permanent. Having sacrificed structural integrity to find sun, these elongated sections cannot shrink back down. But the opposite extreme, abrupt, intense sunlight, causes a different crisis. Excess light floods the leaf with reactive oxygen species, volatile molecules that act like a microscopic chemical fire burning through the plant's tissue. This results in photo-oxidative bleaching, the permanent degradation of chlorophyll. This is the cellular equivalent of a circuit overload, leaving papery, pale patches only on the surfaces directly facing the sun. To fix this, move an etiolated plant into brighter light to ensure new growth is compact. If you see bleached patches, shield your plant in indirect light immediately to stop the chemical burn, and only return it to the sun using an acclimatization protocol of 15 minutes of morning sun per day. If your plant's leaves look wrinkled and dehydrated, but the water you apply seems to vanish instantly without plumping them up, you need to run the 5-second absorption test. If water beads up and rolls off the surface, you have hydrophobic soil. This happens when organic particles dehydrate completely, developing a water-repelling chemistry that acts like a waterproof jacket, keeping the root zone beneath completely bone dry. The immediate fix is to bottom water your plant. Soak the pot in a container of water for 30 minutes to force moisture slowly back up into the soil matrix. However, the opposite condition, soil that refuses to dry, is a much more dangerous structural threat. Healthy soil relies on its macropore structure, permanent air spaces between particles acting like microscopic ventilation shafts. Dense organic soil collapses these shafts, creating an anaerobic state. Your roots become trapped in a sealed room where water replaces all air. Fungal pathogens thrive in this airless void. As they digest the roots, they produce volatile compounds that you can identify by a distinct, sour, fermented smell coming from the pot. If water beads, bottom water your plant. If soil stays wet 5 days, repot into 50% inorganic mix. If you smell sour, fermented rot, unpot your plant immediately. Once you have identified the biological cause and applied the fix, your plant's recovery begins almost immediately at the cellular level. Within 48 to 72 hours of watering a truly dehydrated plant, you will see it restore its turgor pressure, the internal force that keeps leaves firm, as those parenchyma cells refill and expand. If you have corrected the lighting, you will see a tight, compact new rosette begin to form at the center within a month. While the old, stretched stem is permanent, the new growth will reflect the improved environment. However, you must also recognize aestivation, a summer dormancy triggered by extreme heat, where the plant purposefully reduces its metabolic activity. During this time, lower leaves may dry and the rosette will tighten. This is not a sign of failure. Your plant is acting as a biological fortress, shutting its gates to conserve moisture and wait out the heat. The only action you should take during aestivation is to leave the plant alone. It is not dying, it is simply waiting for the season to turn. By using this top-to-bottom triage, you can accurately distinguish between a seasonal shift, a light deficiency, and a cellular emergency. When you understand the biological mechanisms behind these symptoms, you can make care decisions based on what your plant is actually experiencing.